Hello, loves. Welcome to the Subdial Show. I'm Mitch, your pilot on this intimate journey into watchmaking, design, art, and community. Before we jump into this episode, I want to thank you for trusting me with your time and attention. It truly means the world to me, and I promise to do everything in my power to make this show as good as it can be. But for now, it's just you, me, and our guest for this episode, Breva Geneve CEO, Julien Haenny. Now, Breva isn't a brand that announces itself. It reveals itself slowly through ideas, through mechanics, through moments that feel almost personal. These are watches inspired by places, by weather, by time spent doing nothing in particular. I wanted to speak to Julien about why he would revive a failed brand instead of creating his own, and what motivates him, a non-watchmaker, to push the boundaries of thoughtful complication. In this conversation, we talk about starting again, about the Segreto dell'Aria, and about why some watches aren't designed to impress anyone else. They're designed to stay with you. This is a quiet conversation about independent watchmaking, about restraint, and about choosing to slow down and enjoy the moment. Let's get into it.
But for sure, I will be never a watchmaker. I don't have any patience to put every small things inside. Forget it. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, no answer, nothing, I say, oh, fuck. So now it's Breva, only Breva. Focus on Breva. You are the second guy asking for that in 2 weeks. Okay. Yes, in fact, my family on my mother's side, he was in the watch industry in Le Locle, and my grandfather was in charge for the after-sale service for the exactly in English is a pendule, not a watch, but
Pendulum clock? Yeah.
Exactly. And he used to work for Zenith in the manufacture in Rue des Billeuls in Le Locle, and he had a small atelier inside the house, and I can remember the feeling and the smell, of the mechanical components and the oil and everything. It's something really special, for the micro technique. It's a specific smell, so I can remember that, and the tick tack, because there is many pendule on the wall. And I remember this sound since I was a child. So probably it was my first experience inside a mechanism of a watch.
Do you think that without that experience, you would have chosen watchmaking as a career?
But first, I'm not a watchmaker, so I don't think so, because I'm not a manual guy, to be honest with you. I'm more on marketing communication side.
Yeah.
But I like the nice product. I have a very sensibility for the nice object, the nice design. The material is very important for me. The finishing as well. So probably in the end, a watch is joined all these points, So, but for sure, I will be never a watchmaker. I don't have any patience to put every small things inside. Forget it. It's not.
Yeah. I went to the Beauvais manufacturer in Switzerland last year, and they gave me a board with maybe 5 or 6 holes, and gave me a screwdriver and some screws to put in, and it's almost impossible. I don't know how exactly, and you look at it through your naked eye and it's still, but you look at it through the loop and it's doing this. It's crazy. I don't know how they do it.
No, it's crazy indeed.
I want to talk to you about Breva, obviously, and watches, but I want to know if Breva is one of those brands that, and tell me if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. I'm Australian, so there's going to be a few words that are incorrect, I'm sure.
It's fine.
It's a brand that was around for a little while, kind of a few years ago, and then you've just brought it back. I'm wondering what your thought process is behind bringing the brand back. What do you feel like needs to be shared about the brand so much that you brought it back into existence?
Maybe first, there is one question we ask me frequently is, finally, after more than 20 years in the watch industry, why you decided to relaunch a brand and not to create your own brand? And I think it's a interesting and important question. More in a marketing guy, I would say, instead of watchmaker. And for me, it's really important to work on some existing pillar was with a strong background. I mean, it could be the story, could be the product, could be a movement, could be anything regarding a brand. To build on this, to be back and with a reinterpretation of the strong kills of the brand from the past, I think it's something really first interesting for me, and it makes sense to create something from scratch. Sometimes you have the feeling that the marketing, the story, or the product are not in line. You know, that's the first thing. Breva is a really interesting brand for two reasons. The first is the product itself. The first product was launched in 2012 in Buzzworld, was the first mechanical movement equipped with a barometer altimeter. So able to give you the weather forecast on your wrist. So imagine something completely crazy.
Crazy. Yeah.
And it was something very, the design I remember because I met the founder of the brand in 2010, just before he launched this product. The name was Genève 01. I remember that when I saw the design, the piece for the first time, I was, wow, never seen before. So something happened. Second thing is the name Breva. Breva is something very cool, short, easy to pronounce, even in Australia or in Japan
Yeah.
or in US or everywhere. It's really easy to pronounce. More than that, the story behind the name Breva is very interesting and never used before. That's one of the things I was really interesting by work on this. I mean, the origin, territory, and the story we can tell around this. And the story is Breva is the name of a wind, typical from this region in Como Lake in Italy. So I don't know if you have been once in Como Lake in Italy, but it's
I've never been, but it looks beautiful.
yeah, okay, it's like Switzerland more or less, you know, and very nice. It's a very wonderland country. So Como Lake is like it's a place very luxury, very exclusive. George Clooney lived there and everything. So it's really, you know, you give a message of luxury when you say Como Lake, Italy. You can tell a lot of things around. So for me, it was clear that to have a product with a DNA so strong in terms of complication plus Italy, I mean elegance, exclusivity, luxury. My story was clear on here.
Easy. Yeah.
So yeah.
I think it is the obvious choice for someone like yourself to think about starting your own brand. I think a lot of people would have done that, but I really like your idea of kind of discovering something that you have a connection with already, and you might as well get a head start on that storytelling with the brand that you relaunch anyway. So what was that process of connecting with the brand, and then did you buy the rights to the name, or did you work with the founder? How did that happen?
In fact, I met the founder, as I said, in 2010. And the brand was in bankruptcy in 2015, so only 5 years of existence for different reasons. The main reason is probably the founder himself, because he was not from the industry, and he launched so many high complication. A high complication need at least 1.5 years, 2 years to develop first, and more than 1 million at least, depends of the and imagine he launched 3 high-end complication in 3 years. So meaning that the first complication was not even on the market. The second was already, and he spent so much money, and of course after a while it doesn't work. Price point as well was very high. We're talking about 150K. So it's quite it's quite huge. Yeah, in fact, I never see in after 2010, but I always follow a little bit the brand, the activity or actuality. And during my last job in HYT, you know, the small brand with the fluid system, I said, okay, probably it's my last job as an employer inside a watch company. And I said, I have to launch my own business now. And Breva was immediately something in my mind to say, okay. So I called my lawyer. I say, tell me, Breva is available, not available in terms of name deposit, brevet, blah, blah, blah. And he told me, you are the second guy asking for that in 2 weeks. Ah, okay. And 2 weeks ago, the brand was not available because, it's a question of time. When you deposit a name, depends of the time you can redeposit or not. And he told me, okay, let me just check. Maybe you are lucky and we have maybe just a small way to try. And indeed, I just arrived the day after. The name was again available on the Swiss market and other markets. And I said, okay, it's time. I put my name and we deposit the brand. Meaning that I don't bought the company because I bought nothing. I mean, no all invoices, open invoices, or not any components or stock. So it's clean. There is no product on the market, on a gray market. So I just invest to redeposit the brand and to work on a new line, new design and everything. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you know who the other interested buyer or interested party was? Did your lawyer tell you?
I have maybe an idea, but it's I mean, I don't know. I don't want to give you
Of course.
a wrong name, but some it's Breva. Nobody. In fact, it's funny because when I said, okay, I will relaunch Breva, most of people say Breva. It's a small company. Say yeah, yes, it's the watch, it was the weather forecast and everything. Say yes. So for me, I was right because it keep in mind of the most of the people or collectors that Breva was Breva weather to be simple. So for me, say okay, it's a good start.
Yeah, it's a point of difference, and that sticks in people's minds. Yeah. And with I'm gonna butcher this name again. The Segreto dell'Ario, the new watch. Yes, it has kind of this weather themes, but it doesn't have any weather related complications. Did you think about creating another watch with a barometric readout on it or a weather system in it as well, or did you want to go towards the more elegant wearable sizes? What was the decision process like there?
My first idea was to relaunch the weather forecast watch. My initial idea, because it's John what I said in the beginning to say I would like to work on something existing and a pillar of the brand. But in the meantime, to have such complication, it costs a lot in terms of investment. First, secondly, the cost of the watch. 15 years ago, it was 150 more. I would say okay because it was a concept watch time. If you remember, maybe it was the same year with HYT, with Urwerk, with NBNF, with some brands like this. So we are talking about concept watch, I would say, more than a brand. So for me, it's not the case anymore. Today, to come back with a complication of the weather, 100 more than 100K, for me, it was make no sense. So I said, okay, I know that I have some components maybe to relaunch product like this, but not as a first piece for the relaunch.
Yeah.
So I decided to say, okay, I have to define what is the product DNA of the brand. And the product DNA of the brand was for me the instrument of time. Reason why my baseline is les instruments du temps in French, meaning that you have an instrument able to measure whether the time or what you want. Could be the stars, could be the sea, it's open. We open a lot of possibilities and opportunities. So, and I like the idea of great explorer, Marco Polo,
Of course.
or this kind of guy use really real instrument to measure, because without this instrument, they were lost in the ocean or were lost, I don't know where. And when I searched a little bit about some inspiration for the dial and for the product, I found a dial like this with two hands. It was to measure, I don't remember exactly what, but I like the thing like this. And I said, okay, I come back to my designer and I say, okay, this is my brief. I would like a cushion case because I like cushion case and I want to be different instead of round. But I want a cushion case really elegant. I mean, I like Radiomir Panerai, but it's not enough elegant for me.
Mhm.
I like so much Laurent Ferrier, but I can do Laurent Ferrier, so we have to imagine something between. And I like so much the Vacheron Constantin. You remember the American?
Beautiful.
The cushion case in 45 degrees. So I said my case should be a little bit as inspiration between all these cases. And in terms of dial, we should have something with the small hands because I like small hands. And we have to do something with this. I don't know what, but to do something like with it. So I came back to Mr. Meudjon, Jean-François Meudjon. Jean-François Meudjon was the watchmaker behind the first barometer altimeter. So it was obvious for me to come back to him to say, okay, Jean-François, this is my project to relaunch the brand. What do you think? Because you can imagine probably the end of the story was not so kind between the brand and him.
Yeah.
With a lot of pawn invoice and some other things. And he said, in fact, to be clear, I sent him an email because I didn't know him personally before. So I sent him an email to say, hello, Mr. Meudjon. My name is Julien. We never met before, but I'm working on a new project to relaunch Breva. If you are available, I would like to set up a meeting with you just to explain you my thing. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, no answer, nothing, you know? I say, oh, fuck. So what I have to do? And finally, I receive an email. Julian, nice to meet you. With pleasure. I just came back from Japan, blah, 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 blah. Yes, please. We organized a meeting. I went to Le Loc and we met each other. And it was a real, how say that? I have the word in French. I'm sorry. A coup de cœur, a heart meeting, I will say, because the personality of Jean-François and myself, it matched perfectly.
It's
We
similar.
immediately understand where I want to go with the brand. He want to help me as well as a real partner, and so on. And as he asked me what I have in mind in terms of movement to relaunch the brand, I said I would like something manual because I would like to come back to a real relation with your watch. I mean, to rewind it, to take care of it. And he said, okay. And I said, power reserve complication is something I like. It's simple, but not so simple in a way. We decided with the designer, we found a solution to say, okay, we use the base of his movement, the C101. It's a 7 days power reserve he have. Already launched a few years ago. So it's in terms of quality, in terms of performance, is like a tractor, and we have to work on additional model to provide a triple retrograde and to split the power reserve in two. That was it.
Yeah, I contacted Jean-François before this podcast just to kind of get some insight into the development of the movement as well. And I want to read you something that he wrote to me about this process. So he said, I remember one meeting in particular with designer Fabrice Grenet when we were discussing how to display the power reserve differently. The idea emerged within the team to indicate the last day separately to provide a better precision at the moment when it matters the most. It was one of those special moments when everyone feels that something truly meaningful is taking place. That was quite interesting to me because he said meaningful, and I want to get your thoughts on that moment in particular where this idea kind of blossomed, but also how do you differentiate between a meaningful complication and something that just adds complexity? Does that make sense? So how is that complication meaningful to you?
Yes, maybe before the mechanism itself, if I come back to the design, because it's one of the things. In fact, I give myself a challenge to say, when I decided to relaunch Breva, give myself the challenge to do it, to have a business plan in the coming 4 or 6 months, to understand the brand, to put things on paper and everything. After 2 weeks, my business plan was done, meaning that my ideas was so clear. I come to Fabrice Gonnet, the designer, friend of mine, because I met him during HYT, and I said to Fabrice, this is my product brief. And he said, okay. 2 days after, he came with the first draft, first design of the piece. And honestly speaking, it was 90% done. Just finalize some different things. So when it's like this, and we go to Jean-François Meudon and we discuss about this two hands and complication and blah blah blah, the things came naturally on the table, you know. And we all of us at this moment we know that it's probably one of the bestseller in terms of watch for the coming years, because we had a real signature in terms of design, and the Power Reserve complication is something like looks like easy or simple, but not at all. And for me, it was important to keep a certain elegance and to read the time as much as possible, because sometimes you have complication, you never
That you
know
can't say
exactly
anything.
what is per hour and when the minutes. I said, first of all, it's a watch, so we have to see the time on the dial, otherwise it doesn't match. That's the story around. And Jean-François is is a guy with a huge experience. Imagine you know how many complications he developed for the brands during these last 20 years. It's crazy. And when Jean-François he said, we have something, meaning that we have really something. So
was there any kind of technical challenges that you had to work through to make it work? Like, was there, because it's a module that sits kind of on top of the base movement. So was there any, with a triple retrograde, I'm sure there's some tolerance issues there. Like, how was that process? Was it very difficult to make it work?
Really difficult, yeah, because as you said, we have the base of this 101 movement for the 7 days Power Reserve. And then we have to find a solution, because a triple retrograde, one retrograde in second rattrapante. The second one is Power Reserve retrograde in days, the other one in hours. It was a challenge. So first to have enough energy, meaning that 2 barrels at least to charge the piece, and then all the mechanism and the relation between each retrograde from the top to the bottom. And that's the part, the most difficult reason why it took at least 6 months to develop just the model, additional model, to be sure that it can fit perfectly with the Power Reserve of the C101. So we just finalized last week the technical development of the movement. Now we launch the production of the model to see if everything is all right and it's fine. But they have to develop many, in French it's râteau and cam to transmit the energy from the top to the bottom, to synchronize, of course. It's like a piece of theater in fact, there's many things in the same time. And reason why I like to say it looks like simple, of course, but in fact it's really challenging to do this kind of movement, is what I like, in fact.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really elegant as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to tell the complication that's happening behind the dial. And the 2 retrograde at the bottom for the Power Reserve, I think having the pivot points for them at the very, very bottom of the dial, from my understanding of watch mechanics, which is quite small, usually you want those pivot points as close to the middle as possible, as close to the time, right? So that must have been very difficult. So can you explain exactly how the function works? So it's a 7-day Power Reserve, but the last 24 hours runs on the second?
Exactly. In fact, you have we split the Power Reserve in two different measures of the Power Reserve. The first hand indicates the first 6 days of your Power Reserve, and when he arrives the last day, the second hand starts to indicate the 24 hours, the last 24 hours. So like this, with precision when you have to rewind your watch. And we did a very specific crown, because it's should very comfortable. 43 turns to charge your watch to have 100% energy. So we should develop something really comfortable for the winding. Otherwise, you become a bit crazy with your nails or even just the skin. So it's easy to charge, and it's very nice, because in the end you will see when you charge the 2 hands coming back on the top like this. So first, it's the first hand like this, the second one, and charge again. And on the top, we have a small second retrograde every 60 seconds, jumping like this. And it's cool because it animate your dial.
Mhm.
So you have a different game with your hands, depend of course, of the day and where is your power reserve exactly.
I love the retrograde seconds. I think it's a very romantic complication.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the splitting the power reserve is interesting to me because I feel like it's a very relaxing watch to look at, because you know, if you see your last 24 hours hasn't moved yet, you go, okay, I've got time to
Exactly.
wait. I don't have to wind it straight away, but then you can still see where you are in the 7 days, which is super interesting.
And you asked me Segreto dell'Ario, or in fact, Segreto dell'Ario, meaning that secret of Como Lake in English. Lario in Italian, meaning that's a Como Lake. It's the name of the Como Lake in Italian, Lario. So Segreto di Lario, the idea was really simple, but again, in a romantic way. You know, when you are in Como Lake, you never want to come back to your job or you want to stay forever there.
Yeah.
That's a little bit the philosophy. And in fact, the secret day, the last 24 hours of your power reserve is a day where you just enjoy the life in Como Lake, the Italian spirit, the spritz, you're lazing on your boat or river boat on the lake. And that's the secret day, we like to say. So meaning that you have the first 6 days and your last 24 hours, it's yours. Just enjoy it.
Just relax.
Yeah, exactly. That's the story around.
It's such a beautiful and romantic story. I think the storytelling of the brand and the watch is perfect. I think you've chosen a really amazing brand to bring back.
Thank you.
One more thing, Jean-Francois also mentioned, I asked him kind of how you are to work with and who you are as a person. And he said you're someone that has both very strong curiosity with what you want to do, but also a very clear sense of direction. So, I mean, you mentioned it yourself before, when you saw the first design, it was 90% done and you were like, yep, that's what we want to do. I wonder how you kind of balance the curiosity and the sense of direction. Like if you choose, this is the direction we want to go into, but are you still curious about what other things you could do at the same time?
Yes, but you can do it. If you are not clear and you don't know exactly the vision, where you want to go with your boat, and that's the most of the problem of the brand today. They lost the vision of the brand, the direction where they want to go, and for the product, for who is the customer, and you have to keep the line, you have to keep the direction. Of course, we can develop many other things. We can develop different dial. We can talk about the dial, for example, type of finishing and many things. I think I'm really curious to find a way for the finishing of the dial. Indeed, is it métier d'art? Is it guilloché? Is it mother of pearl? Is it whatever? Okay, we have many options. But for me, the most important is the product should be clear. The complication you choose should be the right one with the story you tell and the DNA of the brand. Everything is a full story and full package. And if you have a product disconnected from the brand of the territory or environment of the brand, that is, you have nothing. More than that, if you have only product without story, it's dead.
Nothing.
So yes, I'm a clear guy. I know what I want. I know exactly what I like or I don't like. So it's quite easy to know this, yes, this, no. Okay, done.
Yeah.
So the question is the next complication we want to develop. And I have more or less a clear idea, probably a chronograph, but not
retrograde chronograph or
something around. Let's see. No, but now you understand a little bit better the DNA of the brand. And of
Absolutely.
course, if we launch a chronograph, it will not a chronograph from Tag or from other brands making always the same things, you know. We should display it and reinterpret it in another way. There is other complication I like. I like big date. I like so many small complication, but very elegant. Moon phase. I like so much moon phase, for
Beautiful.
example. So, and then in the coming 2 or 3 years, when the brand is already installed, we can think again to a big complication and something really strong. But before we install the brand, first collection, some animation, and then we build it. Yeah.
I meant to ask you this before, but you're trained as a typographer.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
I'm interested to hear about your experience in that world, because to me, I feel like it's a very old profession, typographer, typesetting, and that kind of stuff. How did that experience influence your dial design, for example? Because you must have a very strong sense of proportion and that kind of stuff with the dials.
In fact, I started my career as a chemical, you know, and after 1 year, 2 years, I decided to stop because it was not my stuff. Because I wanted to follow my grandfather, the other grandfather, not my watchmaker, but the other one in chemical, physics, and things like this, and it was not my stuff. So I decided to stop. And why typographer? In fact, it's a funny story because at this time I was 14, 15 years old, something like 16 years old. I don't remember well, but I found this apprenticeship the closest from my house. So I said, "Oh, perfect! I can go by bicycle,
Easy.
and it's easy." So I remember I started to the first day because I didn't know exactly what does it mean, typographer. And at this age, it's so complicated, you know. You don't know what you want to do. You are not clear. You prefer to make sport or ski or girls or whatever, but it's not you. I don't have a clear idea. And in fact, I discover a world of this industry, typographer. I mean, printing, papers, a lot of things around. And I was the last school or last class of typographer officially, because after that they change. They become polygrapher, mean more global, say that.
Like graphic design kind of
Exactly.
stuff. Yeah.
That's the point. But I was so proud because first I was the last class, and then I learned my typography on a machine, you know, with the plomb. So the very old machine
Yeah.
for the typographer, and no computer, nothing like this. So I was in a really old school, I will say. But this for me was incredible because we learned a lot about the paper card, the finishing, what we can do, the printing, the number of the way you can print or add some gold things or many things. So probably it gave me the sensibility of the elegance, the details as well. And it's really important for me to feel the things. I like to touch it. I like to smell it. It's really important to have a real relation with the object. In fact, my first experience in the typography was that. I remember we have plenty of different papers, colors, yes, print material and everything. It was very, for me, good inspiration. In fact, yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. I remember hearing you talk about how it's quite old school now. My dad is a draftsman, so he would draw up plans for houses. Like the architect would come to him and he would
Mm-hmm.
draw the plans and do everything.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, he would have a big desk that would fold up vertically.
Yeah, like this, yes.
Yeah, with the ruler that stuck to the top, and he would draw with a lamp that was clipped to the side of it. And I remember very clearly he would erase lines and he would scrape the eraser with a razor blade to
Yeah.
kind of get it off the paper. It's
Yeah,
such a nostalgic thing, and
good
I still
memories.
have some of his tools
Yeah.
that I
It's
hold on
part of
to.
us. It's part of us. Remember, this kind of thing is what we are today.
How do you say you like to touch and feel things? How do you make sure that feel is correct before the watch is prototyped? Do you know, is there like a 3D printing the case first so you can feel the contours of it and the shapes? But I'd imagine, you know, having a case made in steel, for example, is very different to having it made in gold, and the feel will be very different. So how do you, what does that process look like?
Yes, indeed. First, it was to decide the size of the case. Should we go for 42, 41, 39, 38? Because the tendency now is more 38, even 37 for some brands. So I decided to go for 41. I asked many people, collectors, everybody said 41 is perfect. If you want to launch a 38 after, it's fine, but start with the 41. Okay. And then the challenge was to create a case very comfy, ergonomic. And so we made a lot of 3D printing to understand exactly how it fit. Personally, I have a small wrist as a man. My wife, even smaller. And I said, okay, we should find a case fitting for her and for me. So the big challenge is lug to lug, you know, from the case. And we found finally the right first size and the right ergonomy of the lug to lug. Like this, it fit perfectly. So in fact, I just, because I send my piece soon to Japan, but I have one with me. So that's
Oh, it's beautiful. The salmon.
that's the sunset.
Sunset, yeah.
Sunset, yes, as you can see.
It's gorgeous.
So if I put on my wrist like this, yes, as you can see, it fits perfectly on the wrist, and it's very comfy. It's not so high. We are talking about 11.3 the thickness, and it is really easy to wear and very comfy. It was my goal, because and I can tell you, after many presentations since April, this is a slate gray version.
Beautiful.
So and the movement on the back, yeah.
Beautiful.
So the people are really surprised when they put the watch on the wrist. Say, "Wow! In fact, it's the perfect size." They say, "Yeah, of course, each wrist are different for sure. Normally, it fits. It fits well. Yeah."
Well, I think I find sometimes I put on a 38mm watch and it's too big for me, and sometimes I put on a 42 and it's perfect. So I think that metric is not the most accurate in terms of wearability anyway.
I'm a collector of vintage watch. I like vintage. I have some, and vintage is more 36, 38 maximum. Depends if it's big case or not. But
yeah. Was there any limitation on how small you could go for the movement? The C101
until 38.
38. Okay.
Inside the 38 we can, but if I launch a 38, I don't want to go for the same movement inside the 38. I would prefer to launch something else.
Something different. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a woman. For me, is a very important part of my customers. I would like to develop something for her, for the woman, because I think there are many women like very mechanical watch, not only with diamonds and something shiny, but to have a real watch on their wrist, it's something important for her. So actually, there is no many brands offer this kind of things. So about diamonds or something like this here.
Amazing. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I've just got one more question that I'd love to ask you. As someone that's, relaunched a brand, I'd love to know, is there another brand, whether it be active or not active at the moment, where you would love to kind of take over as CEO, and what brand would that be and why?
A very good question. In fact, in the beginning, I had another watch brand in my mind. It was Excelsior Park. You remember this
Yeah,
brand?
of course.
And this brand was, I think, by Guillaume Lede from
Nevada Grenchen? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Nevada Grenchen, Space One, and Vulcan as well. And I think it's Guillaume bought it maybe one year ago or something like this. Not so much. So it's one of the brand. Otherwise, Minerva, but Minerva is part of Mont Blanc, as you say, as you know. Although there is many small watch brand, really interesting. With some divers or chronograph complication. I have some ideas, but depends of the availability of the brand at this stage. But Breva for me is the first step. My vision is, my project is not only Breva. My project is to create a group, a small group of small independent brands. That's my goal.
But I guess it's the same thing. You have to kind of focus on one
Yeah.
thing at a time.
Yeah, otherwise you start to be. So now it's Breva, only Breva, focus on Breva, and as you can imagine, there is many challenges for that to produce, to develop. We need money, we need time, we need people, and so it's a huge challenge. But in the end, it's it's very cool, and we have to take pleasure, and otherwise it's not it's not good.
Yep. Amazing. Look, thanks so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to
Thank
talk to me.
you, Mitch. And again, I so appreciate your first article about Breva.
Oh, good.
Honestly speaking, because as I go through different articles and stop on yours, because immediately, I wrote my press release, so I know by heart exactly the the words and everything. So I can check very quickly if it's just my press release or someone takes the time to write something different, and it was your case. And I was smiling all the articles. Say, it's very smart. So reason why I send you an email to say thank you so much, and I appreciate a lot your approach and vision. It was very cool and very smart.